My designation is software engineer JavaScript in Kindred Group that is in Sweden, Stockholm, and I work as a React JS lead there, and I handle the front end development work there. Okay, so today everyone can share.
Hello.
Hello. Everyone can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So today's agenda would be a theory session of approximately 15 minutes, mainly coding, how we develop things, and we will have a question and answer session of 15 minutes. Okay. So what is React JS? So before starting, I assume that every student or there's any technical guy that has interest in it has some knowledge of JavaScript, some HTML, some CSS, has a good browser, and a lot of passion of learning. So I assume everyone has this. So let's start with React. So what is React JS? So React JS is basically a library developed by Facebook for creating component-based UI. So whenever you see a UI in the older times, the UI was created with the HTML pages uh, uh, as a whole code on the one page. But now the thing has changed. Now we divide the UI into separate components, and they are developed as a small component for every part. Let's say talk about WhatsApp Messenger. So in the early days, WhatsApp Messenger was a whole page that day. But now, no, nowadays it is small components. Let's say you will have a component of one message. You will have a one component of the your message details, your contact list. So every component is separated or might be declared anywhere. Okay. Okay. So it is React JS can only be used to create UI, only UI. It's not a framework. It does not provide you any backend capabilities, any database capabilities. So I have seen people getting misunderstood that it is a framework. No, it's a library. It's not a framework. You have to include many other things to make it work as a framework. Okay, so it's declarative. So in React JS, you declare everything. Without declaration, you cannot do anything. You have to declare anything. E- Either it be a component or it be a variable. Okay, it uses ES6. It's a version of JavaScript. We'll talk later regarding this. Okay, so ES6 basically provides extended functionalities as creating class, creating arrow functions, declaring variables in different ways. Okay, it is used to build single page application, mobile application, router based application. So React is mainly used to create a single page application. That is, everything is handled on a different on a single page. You don't see a re-render or a refresh of a page. Okay, but it is divided into components. So this single page application, and don't merge this component concept and single page application. Those are two different things. Okay. So it uses JSX. So JSX is a version of JS that is JavaScript XML. Earlier we used HTML. So, but in React we use JavaScript like HTML. So we'll talk it about later in the code. So latest stable version is 17, but we will talk about 16 here. We will discuss 16th version here. So earlier it was 15. So there is a major difference between 15 and 16. So uh, I cannot tell you because of the time, but if we have time, we can discuss it. What were the differences between the 15 and 16 version? Okay. Okay. So why React? What is the advantages of React? So in the old school way, when we have to re-render or we have to update UI on a page on the UI, we have to refresh the whole thing. You could see a refresh on the page getting done when you have to update a UI. Okay, so now it is not the case. React's main advantage was that only that only a part of the UI gets updated when it has to be updated. So how this happens? So React in the breadth of its code uses virtual DOM. A virtual DOM is nothing but it's the copy of the DOM. If someone doesn't know what is DOM, DOM is a data object model of the page that is being rendered on the UI. It contains all the information that what elements, what data, what text you are seeing on the page. So whenever you have to change any DOM, you have to re-render the whole thing. But now with React Virtual DOM, it creates a copy of the actual DOM in the memory. It is a data structure, or you can say it is an object containing information of the DOM element. Okay, and then it updates only a part of that object, not the whole object. Only a part of the object which has to be updated, and you don't come to see uh, full page refresh. Okay, so it seems very elegant that you don't get a page refresh. Sorry. Okay, so it is a light description of a component UI. It differentiates the old one. It creates a exact same copy of the DOM, and it computes minimal set of changes as I already told you. So basically, we will not get it actual working in the code, or when we will be developing, but it is a concept that React uses at its back office working. Okay, okay. So components. So React is all about components. So components are basically a small set of UI, or a small chunk of UI that are brought together to create one working whole UI or a whole page. Okay, so it basically splits a very large UI into into small chunks that are called components. Okay, so there are two components in React that are class components and functional components. So in React 15, we majorly use class components because it had the life cycle, which we will talk about later. And but currently, but currently in React 16, they have provided hooks in the functional component, which almost acts as a class component. So now in this UI industry of front-end development or commercial front-end development, now they are moving from class component to functional components, as functional components are lighter than class components. We will talk this. We will talk about later. So basic syntax is if you have to render hello world something. So this is the basic syntax, and this is a syntax in EX6 for a class component. We will we will take this in the code demo. Okay. So what is the basic difference between class and functional component? So class component is defined as a class which extends a component that is derived from the React library. And functional component is just a simple function returning some JSX or some header or some element, you can say. And a class has the access to state. What is a state? State is a object that re-renders a component uh, that is reliable for the re-rendering of the component. It contains the dynamic data, and it is responsible for the functioning of that particular UI chunk. And functional components also have access to state, but in a different way. It by use state. That is a hook we would be talking about. So there are life cycle methods in class-based components, and there are hooks, but really, almost that you can duplicate the life cycle method via hooks. Okay, so it has access to states and props via this keyword. So those who know JavaScript must be aware of the this keyword. And access to props in functional components is done via props keyword, which you always get as an attribute in the functional component. Okay, use if you need to manage the state or access to lifecycle hooks and you don't want to use hooks. So yes, if you need to manage the state, we will talk about what is state and props in the code. I will explain. And And yes, for simple working or and for simple usage of the state, you could go for state. Okay, so without wasting time, I think we should move on to the coding demo. So before moving to the coding demo, we would be using some tools, some extension, ES6. So please keep an eye on them. And if you have any questions regarding the same, we could take it in the end. Okay. So basically, what we need to create to start developing a React application, we need a Node.js. Node.js is a server that is responsible for running the application, and we need npm. Npm is Node Package Manager that helps us installing and managing the package that we will need to install or we would be using in the React application. Okay, so just before starting with the code demo, do we have any questions that would block you from uh, understanding the code? I don't want something like that. Any questions? I take it as a no. Okay. So this is a create React app library or a tool provided by Node that helps you uh, uh, create an application with all the things you need and just to get started with the development. If you want to do it explicitly, you don't want to use the create React app. You need to have many other steps that you can find out online. It is a very long, tidy process, so I didn't choose it because we have less time. So I chose to use create React app, and I'll be explaining you how it works. So basically, we create a React app named My App. We will get npm start. It will start the application and we'll uh, get it running. Okay, so let's start. I have already installed Node, which is on version 14. So everyone can see my code editor, right? Hello? Okay. Okay, so I have a Node version of 14. I have npm version of 6. So I've already installed to save time. Okay. So as I said, we'll start with uh, create React app by npm install. Npm is the Node package manager, as I said, and we install a package globally that is -g, and we create React app. So it's already installed on my system, but I'm just okay. So the Mac user should go with sudo to give them a permission globally. Okay, so it's installed. Now I'll create a React app name as my app or any name you could give by npx. Npx is the package executor, Node package executor. We use it to execute a package without in an application, without being in an application. So create React app MIET demo. Okay, so it will be installing React DOM, React scripts, and other libraries that it would be using for the development. So till the time it gets installed, I would be telling you about the tools, about the servers I would be using. Okay, I have some snippet already. I would be copying that to save time. I would be using crude.com. This is a free API, REST API that we would be using for creating and calling some APIs. I have not created any server. We would be using Postman to see to do some debugging on the API. And one more thing I would be using, I should use React. Bootstrap for the UI component. So we don't have to put our hands on CSS. We don't want to do that. Okay, so we will be using components from here. So it would be a great thing for you guys to learn how to install a new library, how to use it. So yes, it would be a good idea to do that. So this is a React library in which we use components. So basically, just like this, alert is a component. So this is would be rendering something like this. Okay, so just getting started. Takes time. Any questions by the time it gets installed? So 122 packages are installed. It needs 122 packages uh, to run. So what we would be creating? We would be creating uh, a crude app on, let's say, heroes of the Marvel. We would be creating a hero. We would be editing a hero. We would be deleting a hero as a single page application. We would be doing on a single page, not router based. Okay, and via component based things. And we would be navigating through props and state. I would be telling you how to use props, how to use state, and we would be working on hooks. So that is the latest thing that the industry standard follow. They are not anymore working on the class components as they are heavy, make the UI a bit slow. So we would be using React hooks. Okay, so it's done. So we go inside our created code check and we do a npm start. So let's see what CRA has created for us. Okay, so it has created a node module. Node modules is a folder of the libraries that we would be using. The source is the main thing that we would be developing or we would be adding the files to. This public folder is, uh, we could talk about that later if we get time. That's nothing important. Okay, so index file is the entry point of the application. Index CSS, I'll remove what is not needed in this demo. I think we would not be using CSS, so I would delete that. Okay, we have included it here. I will remove this as well. I remove this as well. I remove this. Okay, okay. So let's see how it looks now. It's just a kind of a hello world. Maybe I've started it. I've started. Okay, the create React has thrown an error. Module not found. App CSS where it's included. Search for that. Okay, So this is a basic learn React. It has loaded. If I show you just to say hello world, hello world. Okay, so I'll quickly start how it is loading. So we on the server we always provide an index HTML in which we provide a div in which our application would be loaded. I have provided it as root. Okay, whenever you create a build, it would go to a div element containing root, and the application that we have created would be rendered inside this. Okay, so how we provide in our source that which ID we need to go to. Okay, so React DOM, we have loaded React, we have loaded React DOM. So React DOM would render app in the document with the ID root. So this is the first basic step where we provide the entry point of the application that yes, this is our application, and we would be rendering it in the document which has the ID as root. Okay. Okay. So this is how we include our application into the DOM. Now, what is the application? This is the application. This is the old uh, syntax, but now if I convert it to ES6, we provide const variable name. I assign a function that is a arrow function to it, and I export it and returning a div, just a div with hello world. Okay, so this is what you see. If I go to the console or the DOM, if I see the DOM, this is the DOM, and this is the root that I told you, and this is our application that is rendered inside the root. Okay, pretty much simple. Hello world. Okay, so now we'll complicate this. Now I have to use this library for some good looking UI, and we get some good looking uh, CSS. Okay, I install npmi react bootstrap and bootstrap and bootstrap for the CSS. Okay, by the time it gets installed, we'll see what how we need to include that. Okay, this is done. Okay, we include like this some things, and we include the CSS here. Okay, we import the CSS that we would be using. We would be using the Bootstrap CSS. Okay, and these are the list of components. We can use something like Jumbotron. Okay, so we should use this Jumbotron for this hello world. I'm removing this, putting this, and I put it as hello world. Okay, now it shows Jumbotron, something red. Why it shows? It shows Jumbotron is not defined. Okay, so whatever element we are using, we need to import that. Remember? Okay, so I import Jumbotron from the library which I have installed. Okay, this is no valid version. I'll take this and I bootstrap. Okay, so by the time it gets installed, so we did the installation. We installed two libraries, React Bootstrap and Bootstrap. We imported it like this. We imported the CSS like this. And yes, it's all good to go. And we can use components, any component that has different types of components, buttons that you would be using shortly, some badges, whatever you feel like, just import it and use it according to the properties they are given. So these are props of a particular component. You can use this prop, the description are given, like as, like fill, whatever things or whatever way you want to use it. So if I talk about button, so this button have a prop, something like it. It would be having some property like variant, like this, danger, and all. So we would be using it shortly. Okay, it is installed. Let's see if it changes. Okay, go to control. Okay, now some CSS come in and we can see a good UI. Hello world. Okay, so now we would be firing an API to create a list of the heroes. Now, so we'll create a component to get the hero list dot JSX. So this would show a list of heroes in a table, let's say, okay. But before that, we need an API call to get the hero list, okay. So what we will be doing, we would be passing everything as a function or every API call. We would be creating this app as a functional functional thing. Means it would not have the actual UI definitions or UI descriptions. It would only have the functionality that getting the list, updating the list, creating the list, or deleting a list. Okay, and we would be including the or we would be separating the UI logic from the function logic. Okay. Okay. Now we would, okay, I'll get it quickly from my code. Okay. Now we would be using the hooks. Now here are where the hooks come in. So this use effect and use state. What is use state? We use state for defining some properties or the variables to the state to the application that it would be using. Okay, so this variable would be heroes. I would be assigning the list of the heroes from the API to this, and I would be passing it to the component so that it can use it. And if I want to change or if I want to set the heroes, I would be using this function. So use state is a function to manage the state of the application. So it returns the variable and it returns a function so that we can use to manage the state. And this is the default value that I am assigning to the heroes. That is null. So that it would help us checking this that if the heroes have come in or not from the API. Okay. So now this what is this use effect? Very important thing. So use effect is used. So this use effect helps us to fire some event on different stages of the component cycle. That is, if a property gets updated or at the first time of the render. Okay, so all changes according to this. So whenever you want to fire some event at every time when the component gets re-rendered or when the component gets updated, so you provide it without any parameters, and this would fire every time when the components will get updated or the state would change. So the question arises when the components get updated or re-rendered. It is when a data variable or a state variable changes. If the value assigned to the heroes would be changed, the component will get re-rendered. Okay, but if you want to bind this to a particular state or particular property, you can assign it here. So this would fire every time if a particular value of heroes would be changed. Not it would not be dependent on any other variable that we would be using. Okay, but now we would be using on the state update. If any of the state update, we would be firing this. Okay, or at the first render. Okay, so I have used heroes. I would be using this API that I told you earlier. Where it is. Okay, so this is the my token. I would be replacing it everywhere. Okay. Okay. So I have set it as soon as I have not used any extra library for calling the API. I'm using the fetch API from JavaScript we get by default. So we would be calling the API, we would be getting the response, we would be setting it to heroes. Whatever list we will get, we will set it to heroes. Okay. And if there is an error, we will set an error message. Okay. Now set message is not defined. So we create another state variable saying message, and it would say set message, which is default null. Okay. So now if we will get an error, we will set something error message to something wrong. Simple. Okay. Now the API would be marvel to us. Now we'll go to the postman. I create one demo. If it's done and one has expired. Okay. Okay. So we get now we have get one hero as Tony Stark in our application. Okay. So now we go to the hero list. So that would be responsible for showing the list. Okay, I'll just copy paste quickly and explaining. So I'm using two components, table and button. Okay, table and button. So table is just a kind of thing that would contain some headers and some the data that we get from the component, our component which have defined here. So now I import this hero list from hero list. Okay, so how we use this here? So we use it as a component that we are the same kind we have used Jumbotron. Remember, all custom components starts with capital letter C. It helps us to differentiate between the custom components and the HTML components, as we use HTML components like div. Okay, so yeah, just the basic difference. Now, now I have created hero list and I am passing three props. These are props. Either you can inherit it like this, or as I told you earlier, we always get props variable from the function component, or you can always you get props, and this is called very object destructuring. Okay, so I have destructured the object from props, or you can directly do this here as I did. So I prefer this way. So I'll be continuing with that. Or even you can, if you want to do, you can do it old school way, that props dot name, props dot weakness, blah blah, or whatever you use. Okay, so we can use it like that way also. So I have provided heroes to this. Okay, now heroes, I have created a simple template with the header. You must all be knowing how a table works, right? So table header, that is character name, blah blah. And now I have mapped heroes. This map will create a list, a reoccurring list or a array of elements. Okay, so I would be having more than one hero, right? So I have returned either apart from uh, writing code again and again, I have mapped it and I have returned the array of elements. Map is a ES6 function that they are provided. You must go through that. It's worth learning. So yeah, it would create a list of elements. In this, I have provided a name, strength, weakness that I took from heroes. We'll quickly see it. Okay, so it has fired the API and I am getting the data here, but I'm not seeing it. Why? Let's see why. Because hero list I have included, but I have not provided it as a prop, because prop is it is being as a prop there, right? So what's the prop name in our component? It's heroes, right? So I would provide heroes property. What I have to provide to it heroes? The state variable of heroes. You can have any name, right? It's just coincident that I use that. So hero list would have heroes. But remember one thing here, it will throw an error till the time the API will get set. Okay, so we need some mechanism to hold this UI till the API get resolved, or till the API get some data. Otherwise, it will be a empty list. But let's see, without wasting time. So yes, it's provided. Okay, so now you can see cannot read property map of undefined. It is because we it rendered before we got the data. So yes, now we would provide a spinner kind of thing to this. Okay, let's get it quickly from here. So where is the spinner? There. So this is a new concept of conditional rendering. So we use this is a concept of conditional rendering. We render components conditionally. Now it says if I get heroes, then only show hero list. If I don't get heroes, show a spinner. Okay. Now spinner is not defined. Why? Because yes, I have not included it. Okay. Now let's see if you can see the spinner, and after we get the data, we got this list. Okay. Now we have got the list. Now, any questions still here? Anything you need to clarify how this component works? How? Can we use XORs? List structuring? Yes, we can use XORs, but as I said, I haven't because it is not needed. We have a simple API called restructuring of an array. It is a destructuring. Yeah, it is a destructuring of array. It is a ESX concept, a JS concept apart from React. Yeah, you can learn it. I have added it in recommended learning. Okay, okay. So this is a API call from use effect. Just a quick recap. We got the API. We added it here to the hero list, passed the property, and we passed the property. We mapped it and we showed it. Now, now we would go to delete. How we delete? Now there is a button I added to delete the API. Okay, but I have taken it as a prop, but I have not defined it. So what would be? It would show an error that delete hero is not a function. As I'm using it, I have taken it, but I have not passed it from the hero list as a prop. Okay, now we will quickly delete it. Delete function. As I said, I would be creating all the functionalities here and no UI there. Okay, okay. So delete hero. I would send a delete hero, delete hero. Okay, now what we are doing in delete hero. Okay, so we after delete, it's always good to reconfirm with the customer or with the user that yes, if you are you sure you want to delete? Yes, if it says true, then we will fetch the API that they have in the you can go through the kubecrew.com documentation. That's how to perform the function. So method is delete. I provided a ID to it. Please note this ID. I would be telling you how we pass the ID. So yes, we sent this ID that what ID we would be deleting. And yes, if the data is okay, please remember this. Please note this. I'm not refreshing the UI. I'm not doing a new API call. I'm just using the data we have it in our state. So this is state, right? We are using this in that state, we would be only modifying that. You could do a refresh, or you could give a API call that would refresh the data on the UI. It will not refresh the page, but yes, it will refresh, give a refresh to the state with a new API call. But I prefer this to save an API call. So I did nothing. I did splice with the index of the ID that I deleted. Okay, and I would send the message that yes, message successfully deleted, and I would be setting the new heroes list that I have spliced to. So I, I'll say it again that I'm assuming that everyone is aware of the JavaScript functions. These are basic JavaScript functions. Okay, okay. So now, how we would show this message? We have not included anything. Now we use another thing as toast, which would show message. So this is toast. I'll quickly include it here. Toast. Okay, so toast will be showed whenever we get a message on close. We will set the message to null, so that this hides, and the message, it would be showing a message that we define to the state. Okay, so this is the message. Now again, it is not defined. We have to import toast. Okay, so let's see if it works. Are you sure you want to delete? Successfully deleted, and the list got updated. Okay, okay. Now we go inside the. So how we deleted? So we sent the ID. So what is the ID? We got a single hero. We got a list of heroes. Now we destructured it again to get the name, weakness, strength, hero of the ID. We chose that single hero. We passed it to the property. If you pass it, just to take a look, this is we are passing a function here. The function returns another function with the ID. If you do it like this, so this would be a function call. So every time you render this component, this function would be called, and it would go to inside that loop. So we are not going to do a function call to it. We are going to pass a function to it. So this is a function which returns a function which has to be called. Okay. So we would be calling delete hero with ID, which would go here again and delete hero, and we would be processing it again as we did it now. Okay. Now, how we would edit it? Okay. So now we don't have any character, so let's add it first. Okay. So now we create. I should create a small add button. It would be a small component I created. Here it is. Add. Quickly add it. It's just a button which would take a property as create hero, and create hero would. I'll tell you why I passed it as a blank. Okay, which it would be a simple button which would say add new hero, and on click it would call a create hero function, which would be passed as a property from the parent component. Okay, now the functions of the parent component, that is create hero. This create hero, and I add it. I import that component first. Import. Okay, I spelled it wrong, but that's okay. Hero button, and I pass this create hero as a property to it. Create hero. The property again. Okay. Okay, now what this create hero will do? This create hero. Now I have used another state method like hero. It is for edit, but yeah, let's say it is for edit for showing the pop-up. What I would be doing on creating the edit button, I'll be opening a model which would create a form, with the fields that you need to add that, and we could submit it on that particular submit button. Okay, so this I used sorry set hero. So what this set hero will do? I'll quickly create a oh, hero set hero. Use state. Okay, I'll do it null. Okay, so if we have a hero, then a model would open up. If we don't have a hero, the model would be hidden. I'm using the same model to edit and to update. If you want, you can create separate function to it and separate component for editing and update for adding and updating. But I am using the same state, I am using the same function, and I'm using the same model for adding and editing. So where it is? So it is hero details. Okay, so I add a new component which will consist of a form, uh, and it would be a model that would be showing. Okay, so I included a model, a button, and a form. So here I have set its own state now. Okay, so I'm using the state which will help us for editing, and which would be helping in our editing, and we could send the data back to the edit this data to the post API. So everyone is aware we would need to send some data to the post API, I guess. Okay, and this is a handle change for it, which would be changing the values. I would be showing it up shortly. Okay, so it shows on hide. So I would be passing these properties. I have used properties like this. I would be sending these if, update hero if I'm updating it, a create hero function if I'm creating it, hero details. What are the details by default? We will be sending it, and on hide, what would be done on hide? What would be doing on hide? Okay, let's do it quickly. We are running out of time, I guess. Okay, so here it is. Selected hero details. We again quickly import this. Details, hero details. Select hero. So now, as I said, I use selected hero as a property to show. I'll change it to selected hero. This was to show you can have any name of the function, any name of the variable you like. It's not like you have to see set hero or set selected hero. Okay, and now we have save hero. So this will be a function call to post the data for saving or uh, uh, adding the hero as a API call. So yes, okay. So this function is for creating a new hero. This would be used for creating a new hero with the new data, and we would be overriding that. and this is for saving the data, and we would be updating the hero with the data we get. We are not doing another API call to refresh the data. And same with create hero and same with update hero. Okay. So I'm not explaining this function. I would be updating this on Git. I will be sharing the link, and you can check it out. We are running out of time, so I will quickly uh, show this. Okay. Okay. We have a different name. Okay. So now we don't have hero. We added quickly hero Tony, Iron, Iron Man, strength something, weakness pepper, study food, create it. Okay. So it has successfully created it. Okay. So let's see. You could see the UI is not refreshing, it's just adding. So these are some extensions that I use for component, for getting the component view here as a copy of the React DOM that I told you, and this is a profiler which would tell you that how many times, in what way the component is re-rendering. It is helpful for debugging. Okay, let's create a new hero. Let's say Bunny, Captain, something, something, age 200. Okay. So now it's created a API call. This is the data I sent. It created a new ID. I added it back here. Okay. And now I edit it. So I'm using the same model as Bunny. Okay. Select hero is not a function. Okay. So now what happened is I didn't pass select hero. There is no select hero. Okay. Hero details. Select hero. So this is wrong. So on click, where the error came from is on handle chain. Yep. On the list here, it is the function that I was using. On click, I have selected select hero here, but I have not passed it. If select hero will send the hero details, whatever we are using, to the component from here, from the app there to the hero details. It would select the hero, set selected hero that we are using, set hero. It would hero list, set hero. I have passed select hero property as a state function, set hero. It would change the hero details. Okay. Okay. Mhm. Okay, but yeah, we could fix that easily. But yes, I think the main concept of React would be understood by everyone. So we can take a quick Q&A session, and I would be pushing it to Git, and we could go through it. If you have any question, you would be having my contact thing, so we can do it later. Yeah. So any questions, please? Any questions, please?
One question, Harshit. We have the question in the chat. That is
I'm not able to open it.
from Vikram sir. Why hooks are getting so much echo why would we like
Mhm.
to prefer to use hooks rather than class
Mhm.
component?
Yeah, very good question. This was a thing I was expecting. So hooks are, as I already told, they are very lightweight. If you create a class that makes the component heavy because in that you get a very large set of life cycle methods which maybe you cannot use or you could use, but I never used every life cycle method. So yes, it is a very heavy component when it comes to class components. But nowadays with the use of hooks, you can almost replicate the class component in a very more efficient way, and it provides a more extended way to use the components, and they are very light, and you can use whatever you want, and it means it's not necessary you have to use every life cycle method. So you can replicate that life cycle method in React Hook easily and efficiently and is in a very light way manner. It is not bound to life cycle methods as in class components.
Okay, we have one more question from Dev, that we
Yeah.
often use API
Mhm.
and he used Axios for that,
Yeah.
but he is
So
not much
actually,
confident in using that. So what should he do?
yeah. So as I showed you, everyone, it is for everyone who is using. You should not include library in a React.js application till you really want to do it, or it solves your some problem or some obstacle that is solving you. You always go with the methods with the API that are provided by default. That is, I use here as a fetch API, right? This fetch is a default JavaScript API that is provided. I have not included anything. I have not imported it. So you should use fetch API. Xvios is a very advanced library and is for use different purposes, very advanced different purposes. As one of that is changing the headers dynamically while in the application. So if your application does not need that, you should always go for fetch instead of Xvios, because it will only make the application heavy and nothing else. Yep. Any more?
Fine. I'm just checking it out if anybody else has asked some question.
Yeah.
Just a second.
So by the time anyone, uh, so I would recommend reading
Okay.
these
One
questions.
question we have from Gauri Sharma,
Mhm.
and the question is, what important skills should our resume contain for a good job in front-end development?
Uh, See, it's a very diplomatic question, but yes, as I see, there are only two competitors in front end development, Angular and React. But as I prefer React always, because Angular has not been stable in my life, we use. But yes, as I can see, the industries are also moving to React. They prefer React only apart from Angular. So yes, go for it. If I answer your question correctly, if you are confused of choosing React or Angular, if I understand it correctly.
Actually, what, in my opinion, the question is about that
Mhm.
from where she should start. And the question is this: for front-end development,
Okay,
she want
so
to
yes,
access a career, then what things she should do right from the beginning so that she
okay,
get placed in a front-end development domain.
okay.
This is the
So
question
first
I
of
am
all,
interpreting.
okay, so first of all, if you are going towards React in front-end development, first of all, you should polish your JavaScript. JavaScript is mm, important, and after JavaScript, you should learn a version as I showed it here, ES6. So it is used extensively in React. So JavaScript are the main fundamentals used in any front-end development nowadays. Let it be Angular, let it be Vue, let it be React. JavaScript is the main important concept that or the skill you must polish up. And after that, some HTML, some CSS. Uh, yes, that would go through React, and this is your best teacher. React.js is your best teacher. So yes, go for it.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. So
Fine.
Salesforce is the top uh, top paid job, and after that React is on second. So I would suggest, because both are different things. React is React is a very good library, UI library to learn on that, because you can integrate it with any platform. You can integrate React in React, you can integrate React in Salesforce, Angular in React, React in Angular, anything. So it's highly integrable. So yes, and apart from that, just keep learning. Technology does not matter in today's world. You should keep learning. You should keep focusing. Uh, yeah, that's it. And one more thing, I just want to share my screen. If you have any questions for me, if you want, just note this GitHub URL. I will be posting my code here. So just note down this URL. You would get that code, and if you have any question, contact me on LinkedIn. Uh, Harshit Jyoti is my handle, and you can find details of me here, and you can contact me from there as well. Yeah, just give some time to note that, and you can stop sharing. Anyway. Yeah, so I think uh, I was a bit short of time, so but I think it was a good session, knowledgeable session, I guess,
Yeah,
with
sure.
everything.
I, on behalf of MIT, thank you for such an enlightful session. And in future also, we would like to connect with you on sessions on front end itself.
Okay, yeah,
So,
on front end, and yeah,
yeah, a token of appreciation
sure.
from our side that you can see in the virtual format given.
Thank you
Okay.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Harshit, for such an
Thanks a
enlightful
lot.
session. Now I would like to request Naveen Kaushik sir to give a vote of thanks to the speaker.
Definitely. It was a really very informative session, but for me, this was too much technical. I'm not familiar about these all the things. Which,
Yeah, it was typical. It
yeah,
had to be.
but I think those
Yeah.
the this was very useful for all the attendees. And thank you, Harjit, for giving your valuable time. Uh, and we would like to welcome you again at MIT. Uh, if possible, we would invite you physically visit to our campus. And thank you very much for this giving this useful, wonderful session. And stay safe. And bye
Yeah.
bye to everyone.
Well, for the recordings of today, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. This recording will be available by tomorrow on the YouTube channel. The link I have already posted in the this.
Yes.
Rest I will